Madam Chair, in our report, it is option 1 or option 2. You have instantly gone for option 2 and are now laying into me for daring to raise option 1. I am saying, why did you discard option 1? Why are you trying to make the decision now without any political mandate?
Nice try, Councillor Brewer. I'm a little bit tired of being accused of things that aren't happening. Let's have a process
Some
explanation
honesty, please.
from our
Exactly
staff.
what's happening.
Oh, Councillor Brewer, settle down.
So in the preparation of this report, two options were considered. The do nothing option, which you have and is still live before you, and the do some preparatory work option. So if you look at the resolution, in particular the items in G, they're effectively getting some elements started, a process to investigate. Scope based on matters, but included in the consensus working group. Develop a short list of independent third parties. So the intention was not to provide an alternative that allowed some thinking to go in without actually doing the work. So, but that's certainly what you'll be debating, and I agree with the Deputy Mayor and the Chair of this committee that if option 2 doesn't succeed, then option 1 remains on the table and hasn't been taken off at any stage.
Well, Madam Chair, just on that, my concern is this preparatory work might not come to anything because an incoming mayor and council might not see it as a priority or have the mandate to head towards a preferred option. My concern is that we've spent over $1 million already, and let's hold that. It doesn't seem like it's absolutely time critical, that it doesn't have to be sorted in the next 3 months. I would like to see us hold that $1 million cost, not add to it, and for the incoming council to see these reports and make their decisions with a full public mandate as to what they do with them and what they instruct the Chief Executive. Not us make that decision 8 days before nominations open.
Why don't we hear from the mover and seconder, which I think may hopefully clarify some of the issues. Councillor Darby, would you like to speak to...
Are we in debate?
Oh, no, we're not in Councillor. I'm just trying to bring... Well, let's just try and bring a bit of clarity to this. We've had questions which have been asked. Sorry, what was that, Councillor?
I just have brought some clarity. You weren't going to take us through option 1 and option 2, but I've taken the liberty, so that's the clarity I've added.
Not even going to go there. Councillor Darby, would you like to bring some clarity to the debate? You've raised your recommendations, which have been moved by yourself and seconded by the Mayor. Questions have been asked about the recommendation that you're wanting to move. I'm going to ask you to speak to that.
Do you want me to speak to the motion or just clarify the question of the councillor?
A bit of clarity would be appreciated.
So just in reply to the question raised by Councillor Brewer, I don't think we stopped governing yesterday or today. I think we have a responsibility to continue in governance of this council on very large strategic issues which are of great importance to millions of Aucklanders, or at least 1.5 million approaching. So I just want to clarify too, Councillor Brewer, you said that these motions start to instruct the Chief Executive to start to investigate options. They don't say that. They actually, as the Chief Operating Officer outlined, it asks the Chief Executive Officer to start to scope the triggers and to put in place a process for identifying the investigation stage, and then also to look at some options around an independent-led process for the rigorous identification of sufficient berth space, etc. So it does not set us on a course that is going to burn through millions of dollars of investigative options as outlined by Councillor Brewer. It does not do that.
I've never mentioned that.
I'm sorry.
But wait 3 months.
Hang on, councillors.
Sorry,
we just listen
probably
to you,
on the audio record.
Can you...
Did I say millions of dollars?
Can I speak to the motion, Madam Chair, as seconded by...
let's just make sure that we haven't got any further questions. Councillor Wood, is yours a question?
Yes, mine is a question, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify with Dr. Boven, the issue of Bledisloe, which is one of your recommendations, recommendation 4. You say that the consultant has recommended a northern east-west berth at Bledisloe Wharf, and that the consensus working on CWG is in agreement that a northern berth represents a viable short-term option. Exact specifications to meet future berth demand will be worked through. So that's nothing. That's the multi-cargo. Is it multi-cargo situation? Vessels, multi-cargo vessels on Bledisloe. So that's a berth across the end of the wharf, perpendicular to the wharf. I'm just trying to clarify there that was agreed by the consensus working group, was it?
Yes, it was. It was yes.
And that berth would be required for the viability of the multi-cargo handling capacity of Port of Auckland.
So the issue with the handling capacity is that you need to have a balanced growth on the port. So you need handling capacity not for today, but further to take us forward during the short term until the port moves.
Yeah.
So the challenge, because of cruise and multi-cargo, including the vehicle vessels, is to provide sufficient berth lengths to give us that kind of headroom to up to the balanced growth, and the option that was identified for an east-west berth by the consultant was accepted by Ports of Auckland Limited and accepted as an option by the CWG, largely because it provided a contribution to the additional berth space. Now the question that remains is, given the amount of berth space that the port thinks that it needs, that's where the argument comes over how that berth space will be provided.
And I take it Port of Auckland haven't got any fixed views on how that's going to happen at this stage, or have they? Have they brought fixed views to the table?
The port has done some preliminary design work. I certainly wouldn't characterise the port's position with the CWG as a fixed position. I would say rather it was a collaborative, creative position.
Okay, and that would also give additional berths. They were looking for additional berths for the berths on Bledisloe that are there at the present time.
Yeah, the issue really is how much berth length and how many ships can you accommodate on the western side of Bledisloe.
Okay, and was the Captain Cook Wharf, was that part of the discussions as well?
It was, but only in the sense that we had a look at the Central Wharf strategy, which is not complete and finalised, and we recognised from that there were a couple of forces operating. The first one was a requirement for more berth length for cruise, which would impact the multi-cargo and Bledisloe capacity, but also that as berth capacity was being provided for cruise expansion and for public use, that would put increasing pressure on the multi-cargo Bledisloe capacity.
So there was a trade-off. They were talking about a trade-off there, were they, between Captain Cook and Bledisloe?
Not explicitly, no.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Councillor Wood, Claire? I've got Member Taipiri and then Councillor Penrose and Councillor Cashmore, and then I'm just going to ask Dean to comment. We've got a lot of confusion around the table about the timing of this, so actually Dean, maybe you go first and then we'll hear from Member Taipiri, Penrose and Cashmore, because I think Councillor Brewer is incorrect in the assumptions that he's put forward.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we're waiting for 3 months for the Chief Executive to start.
So, just to reaffirm that both options 1 and option 2 are on the table. Option 1 is the do nothing option, in which case it'll be brought to the next council and you'll have the discussion that council chooses to have. Option 2 is only seeking to make some recommendations to the next council, and I refer you to G. Request the Chief Executive to consider the Consensus Working Group's recommendations and report, as well as supporting consultants document, and to refer to the incoming council a process, a scope, and a short list. And that just enables some things to be worked quietly on in the background, but no work to be done. So the decisions would then need to be made by the future council. There is no budget for this work currently.
I hope that clarifies it. I think there's been a kind of a shift in interpretation
Well,
here.
Madam
that
Chair, if
was
there's no work or no
ongoing.
budget, I suggest we remove all those references to all the work and all the implied budget that is from G onwards.
Okay, we're sure that will be canvassed. Member Taipere.
Ka nui te mihi ki a koe, Madam Chair, ka nui te mihi ki a koutou tēnei wā. So I just reminded myself of the first study and I thought the lack of information and advice around economic opportunities for Māori, investment opportunities for Māori, employment opportunities for Māori. And so last term we agreed by resolution to have the study 2 do that. I don't know if I've seen that, Madam Chair, and I get the feeling it's pending another report to get that information. Can you confirm that or otherwise, please?
I think the Port Future study was, I think at one stage up to a list of 90 criteria that needed to be considered as we narrowed the port options from a very wide range to a very small range of options. Detailed assessment on the implications of each of those options was not done. There was a multi-criteria analysis which actually across a very large number of options considered what were in effect light investigations and then estimation of a rating that went into the multi-criteria analysis. I think the stage that it's really appropriate to do the analysis that you're referring to is very much the next stage, because it's in the next stage we've got some really live options on the table where that work would be important to do and would inform the conclusions.
Kia ora, Madam Chair. So I thought it was appropriate when the council made a resolution to do so with a brief for the study 2. So I don't understand why it wasn't done. I also know that Councillor Clow spent some time emphasising his concern that he felt that study 2 was all about Māori, which was not true, of course. And now sort of hearing, oh well, there's a bunch of 90 things. So I'm a bit lost on that one, Madam Chair. No, Councillor Clow had a shot at it early in the term when we were going on about the study 2, and he was concerned that the terms were getting far too emphasised in Māori, and we tried to explain to him if he'd been in the first term, he'd have worked out that there was a resolution affecting that because it was excluded from the study 1. So I just wanted to make it clear, Madam Chair, that I do find it concerning that it just keeps going on and on and on to another report. I can hear the context of when there's a specific location, then maybe that information will be easier to grasp and obtain. But I think we've missed the boat on this one as well, Madam Chair. I wanted to make that a strong record on that, because we pushed very hard. We worked with Harvey Brooks in the first term when he was responsible for economic development to actually get this realised. I feel we've missed it again, and I'm just getting concerned that it's just going to go over to another